The human brain is the most complex and mysterious organ in the entire universe. It governs our thinking abilities, emotions, movements, and even the simplest daily actions. The brain is not limited to processing information. It generates new ideas, makes decisions, and forms the foundation of what makes us human. Despite centuries of research, scientists have not yet uncovered all of its secrets. Reading about the human brain often evokes both amazement and respect. This organ is delicate yet immensely powerful. Each part of the brain has its own responsibility, and their harmonious cooperation makes us conscious beings. In this article, we will explore 10 fascinating facts about the human brain. These facts will help you realize just how extraordinary your own brain truly is. Many people assume that our brain is relatively light compared to the body. In reality, the adult human brain weighs only about 1.3–1.5 kilograms, which is roughly 2% of total body weight. What is astonishing, however, is that this small organ consumes about 20% of the body's entire energy supply. In other words, the brain is the most expensive organ in terms of energy. Whether we are resting, reading a book, or sleeping, the brain is always active. It regulates heartbeat, breathing, and body temperature, while also managing complex processes such as thinking, planning, and imagination. Scientists have studied why the brain requires such a vast amount of energy. The main reason lies in the enormous number of connections between neurons. The brain contains approximately 86 billion neurons, each capable of linking with thousands of others. These connections operate through electrical and chemical signals. Since signals are constantly exchanged, the brain continuously demands energy. To put this into perspective, the brain is far more efficient than a computer processor. For example, even the most advanced supercomputers can perform trillions of operations per second, but they require hundreds of kilowatts of power. The human brain, by contrast, processes trillions of bits of information every second while consuming only about 20 watts of energy, roughly equivalent to the power used by a small light bulb. Additionally, the brain is extremely sensitive to energy shortages. Without a sufficient supply of oxygen and glucose, severe consequences can occur within minutes. This is why proper nutrition and stable blood circulation are essential for brain function. From this fact, we can conclude that while the brain may appear small and light on the outside, its demand for energy is truly remarkable. It demonstrates that the brain is indeed a powerful engine within the human body. One of the greatest mysteries of the human brain lies in the number of its cells, known as neurons. For many years, scientists estimated that the brain contained around 100 billion neurons. However, more precise modern research has revealed a clearer number. On average, the human brain contains about 86 billion neurons. Neurons are the brain's fundamental working units. They transmit, store, and process information through electrical and chemical signals. Each neuron can form thousands of connections with other neurons. This means that the total number of connections in the human brain reaches into the trillions. In fact, the number of possible connections is greater than the number of stars in the observable universe. The mechanism by which neurons operate is astonishing. One neuron sends an electrical impulse through its axon to another. When this impulse reaches the tiny gap called the synapse, chemical substances known as neurotransmitters are released. These then affect the neighboring neuron, passing the information along. This process happens so quickly that we never notice it, yet it enables us to think, speak, and move. Scientists often compare the abundance of neurons and their connections to the stars in the cosmos. Just as the universe is filled with countless stars, the human brain is filled with countless neural pathways. This analogy highlights the brain's vast potential. Interestingly, neurons are not evenly distributed. For example, the cerebellum contains more than half of all the neurons in the brain, while the cerebral cortex is responsible for higher-level functions such as thought, memory, language, and imagination. For scientists, the enormous number of neurons forms the foundation of the brain's power. Each time we learn something new synaptic connections are created. In other words, our brain can continuously grow and adapt by forming new pathways after every experience. This fact reveals that the true power of the brain is invisible to the naked eye. Within this small organ lies a vast universe of stars. Sleep is a natural process that takes up about 1/3 of human life. On average, we spend 25–30 years of our lifetime sleeping. However, the belief that the brain shuts down during sleep is a misconception. In fact, the brain remains highly active while we sleep. Scientists distinguish several stages of sleep: slow wave sleep and the rapid eye movement, REM stage. During slow-wave sleep, the body fully rests and cells recover. In the REM stage, however, the brain becomes active, and this is when dreams occur. It is the moment when we imagine scenarios, relive memories, or experience vivid visions. One of the brain's main functions during sleep is processing information. Throughout the night, the brain organizes and consolidates the knowledge and experiences gained during the day, transferring them from short-term memory to long-term storage. This is why getting proper sleep is crucial for students preparing for exams. It solidifies learning. Sleep also serves as a cleansing process for the brain. Recent research has shown that during sleep the brain uses a special system called the glymphatic system to remove harmful waste products and toxins. Without sleep, these substances accumulate and damage nerve cells. This phenomenon is linked to the development of disorders such as Alzheimer's disease. The consequences of sleep deprivation can be severe. Lack of sleep leads to mood swings, reduced focus, and weaker memory. Chronic sleep deficiency increases the risk of cardiovascular diseases, obesity, and diabetes. At the same time, sleep is not only a biological necessity but also a source of creativity. Many inventors and scientists reported that they received breakthrough ideas in their dreams and turned them into reality after waking up. For instance, chemist Dmitry Mendeleev famously claimed that he saw the periodic table of elements in a dream. Thus, the brain remains active even during sleep. Sleep not only refreshes and restores us but also strengthens memory, protects our health, and fosters creativity. One of the most fascinating features of the human brain is its memory capacity. Without memory, we would not know who we are, where we are going, or what we have done. Memory forms the foundation of our identity, knowledge, and experiences. Scientists categorize memory into several types. Short-term memory. Information is stored for a few seconds to a few minutes. For example, remembering a phone number temporarily. Long-term memory information can be retained for years or even a lifetime. This includes childhood memories or knowledge acquired in school. Working memory, the ability to hold and manipulate information temporarily. For instance, keeping numbers in mind while solving a math problem. Memory has its limits. No human can remember everything. Some information is forgotten, while other details may be stored inaccurately. This is the brain's self-protection mechanism. If we remembered every tiny detail, our brains would be overwhelmed with excessive information. However, there are extraordinary individuals with remarkable memory abilities. In science, they are referred to as people with supermemory. Such individuals can recall every single day of their lives in extraordinary detail. This phenomenon is rare and not yet fully understood. The brain's memory power can be strengthened through practice. Common techniques include association method, linking new information to familiar images; repetition method, repeating information multiple times for long-term retention; visualization, creating mental images of the information to be remembered; healthy lifestyle, proper sleep, balanced nutrition, and physical activity enhance memory. Memory is also closely tied to creativity. New ideas often emerge from the combination of past knowledge and experiences. Thus, memory is not only a tool for storing knowledge, but also a key to generating new thoughts. This fact demonstrates the brain's limitless capacity to store and process information. Memory is not just about preserving our past, it is the essential resource that shapes our future as well. One of the most important aspects of human life is emotions. We experience joy, sadness, fear, anger, love, and many others. But where do these feelings originate? The answer lies in the brain. The primary region responsible for emotions is the limbic system, which includes structures such as the hippocampus, amygdala, hypothalamus, and others. The amygdala, in particular, plays a central role in fear and threat responses. If the amygdala is damaged, a person may lose the ability to recognize danger. Emotions are not just inner experiences, they directly affect our health. For example, prolonged stress raises blood pressure and increases the risk of heart disease. Joy and laughter release happiness hormones called endorphins, boosting the immune system. Fear triggers the release of adrenaline, preparing the body for the fight or flight response. Emotions also influence our decision-making abilities. Sometimes people make choices driven by emotions rather than logic, which can lead to mistakes. Scientists explain this by showing that emotional and rational thinking occurs side by side in the brain. Learning to manage emotions is a crucial skill. Helpful strategies include breathing exercises, reduce anxiety; meditation, calms the brain and balances mood; physical activity, increases endorphin production; positive thinking, alleviates stress; Without emotions, human life would be meaningless. They are one of the essential qualities that make us human. Yet, keeping emotions under control is the mark of a truly wise person. One of the most fascinating facts about the brain is its plasticity. This concept refers to the brain's ability to adapt to new conditions, learn new skills, and recover after injury. In the past, scientists believed that once the human brain was fully formed, it could not change. However, modern neuroscience has proven that the brain continues to change and renew itself throughout life. For example, when learning a new language, the brain creates new neural connections and adapts to memorizing words. There are several types of brain plasticity: structural plasticity, the creation of new neurons, and the strengthening of existing connections. Functional plasticity, when one region is damaged, another part of the brain takes over its function. Synaptic plasticity, the strengthening or weakening of connections between neurons. This property is especially crucial after injuries. For instance, a person who has suffered a stroke can relearn how to speak or move through rehabilitation exercises. This is clear evidence of the brain's adaptability. Moreover, brain plasticity affects our daily lives. Regular reading, listening to music, exercising, or starting new hobbies all train the brain. On the other hand, laziness and a monotonous lifestyle reduce brain activity and may accelerate age-related memory decline. Scientists believe that brain plasticity is one of the key secrets to longevity and maintaining mental sharpness. It would be a mistake to assume that male and female brains work in exactly the same way. While their overall structure is similar, there are several key differences shaped by genetics, hormones, and evolution. Key differences: brain size. On average, male brains are about 10% larger than female brains. However, this does not determine intelligence, as the real measure lies in neural connections. Connections in female brains. Women tend to have stronger connections between the left and right hemispheres, which helps with multitasking and better emotional understanding. Connections in male brains. Men generally have stronger connections within each hemisphere, which supports spatial reasoning and logical problem-solving. Hormonal influence. Estrogen enhances memory, while testosterone is linked to risk-taking behavior. Emotional processing. Women's amygdala and limbic systems respond more strongly to emotions, which explains why women often express emotions more openly. Interesting facts. Women typically have stronger verbal abilities, speaking around 20,000 words a day, while men average about 7,000. Men are generally better at spatial mapping and remembering directions. Women are more prone to depression, whereas men are more prone to aggression. Nevertheless, these differences do not determine intelligence. Male and female brain characteristics highlight strengths and weaknesses unique to each, complementing one another. Creativity is one of the key abilities that distinguishes humans from other living beings. Art, music, and scientific discoveries are all products of brain activity. But how does creativity arise in the brain? The neuroscience of creativity. Scientists argue that creativity is not solely linked to the right hemisphere as once thought. In fact, creativity emerges from collaboration across multiple brain regions. Prefrontal cortex generates new ideas. Limbic system adds emotion, giving life to ideas. Default mode network activates during free thinking and daydreaming, fueling imagination. Factors that boost creativity. New experiences, traveling, learning a new language, or meeting diverse people stimulate the brain. Art and music, painting, singing, or playing instruments strengthen creative neural connections. Rest. Many new ideas come when people relax or sleep. Mistakes, errors often lead to innovative solutions by pushing the brain to explore new paths. Interesting facts. Studies of Albert Einstein's brain revealed enhanced regions linked to imagination and abstract thinking. Musicians tend to have larger auditory cortices than non-musicians. During creative thinking, the brain produces unique alpha wave rhythms. Creativity is not exclusive to artists or writers. Everyone can demonstrate creativity in daily life by finding new ways to solve problems. In the modern era, technology has a profound influence on the human brain. Smartphones, computers, and the internet have all changed the way we think, remember, and communicate. Positive effects of technology on the brain. Access to information. The brain can acquire knowledge at unprecedented speed. New skills. Activities like coding, graphic design, and game development stimulate neural activity. Medical technologies, new brain research tools, MRI, EEG, allow early diagnosis of diseases. Brain-computer interfaces, innovative tools are being developed to connect human thoughts directly to computers. Negative effects. Information overload. The brain becomes fatigued from endless data, reducing attention span. Addiction social media activates the dopamine system, making people dependent on likes. Weakened memory. Instead of storing knowledge in the brain, people rely on Google, reducing memory usage. Sleep disruption. Blue light from screens suppresses melatonin production, lowering sleep quality. Interesting facts. On average, a person checks their smartphone over 200 times a day. Heavy internet users often experience weakened short-term memory. Virtual reality, VR technology can trick the brain into feeling as though it is in another world. Technology has a dual effect on the brain. On one hand, it opens new opportunities, while on the other, it creates dependency and cognitive challenges. Using technology wisely is the key to maintaining brain health. Despite scientific progress, there are still many popular misconceptions about the brain. Some of these myths sound intriguing, but they are not true. The most famous myths. Humans only use 10% of their brain. This is one of the most famous myths. Scientists have proven that all parts of the brain are active, with different regions functioning under different conditions. The right brain is creative, the left brain is logical. While hemispheres have certain specializations, both creativity and logic result from cooperation between both sides of the brain. A bigger brain means higher intelligence. Brain size does not directly determine intelligence. What truly matters is the quality and efficiency of neural connections. Once the brain is damaged, it cannot recover. Modern research has shown that the brain has plasticity. It can create new neurons and relearn certain functions. Memory works like a library or a camera. Memory is not a perfect recording system, it constantly changes and reconstructs information. Interesting fact. Brain myths continue to spread through movies, books, and the internet, often misleading people. Some myths, however, have inspired curiosity and pushed scientists to study the brain more deeply. Trusting science instead of myths is the best way to truly understand the brain. The human brain is one of nature's most complex and fascinating creations. It shapes our thoughts, emotions, movements, memory, imagination, and even our sense of self. In this work, we explored 10 surprising aspects of the brain. From its weight and energy consumption to billions of neurons, its role in sleep and emotions, its plasticity and adaptability, the differences between male and female brains, its link to creativity and technology. Finally, we examined popular myths about the brain and revealed that many of them are not true. The brain remains a mysterious world under constant study. Although scientists have made remarkable discoveries, many secrets are still unknown. By understanding the brain, we not only gain insight into ourselves but also into the future of humanity.